It's almost the end of the year, so that means it's time to wrap up my favorite tech products throughout the year. I'll put links to everything I mentioned in the description below. This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Let's get into it. All right, let's start by talking about a smart home accessory product that I've just absolutely fallen in love with, and that is the Aqara presence sensor. This uses millimeter wave technology to sense people in the room. Now, there is a lot you can do with this thing. You can set up different zones to trigger different kind of automations. You can set up fall detection, sleep tracking. I use none of that. I use these to detect when people walk in and out of the room, and I found they work a lot faster and a lot more reliably than HomeKit cameras. I also have a HomeKit camera here in the studio as well. It gets a ton more false positives, plus it seems to be a lot slower on the, hey, somebody is in the room, so trigger this automation. With this Aqara sensor right here, I have it set up in HomeKit so that when it detects somebody walks into this room, it turns on all the lights, and when it no longer detects anyone's in the room, it turns off the lights. It's incredibly fast. In fact, it's a lot faster than like saying the Siri trigger phrase and asking it to turn on the lights. Now, the thing I did do that I messed up on is you should really put it up as high as possible so that way it's aiming down and sensing people, but this works just fine. As soon as I come around the corner in my studio, it detects me and it turns on the lights. Now, I didn't do a whole lot to overhaul my desk setup this year. I'm pretty much happy with the way my desk is set up, but the one thing I did swap out on my desk is I went from the OWC Thunderbolt dock to the CalDigit TS4 dock. Now, there was nothing particularly wrong with the OWC one, except I just had one issue that really bugged me about it, is the cable that connected from the hub to your computer came out the front. So with my desk setup, it would come out the front and loop around, and it would get in the way of my keyboard and my typing, and it just got to the point where it just drove me nuts. So I got this guy right here, the CalDigit TS4 Dock. Now, this has all the ports I need, multiple Thunderbolt ports, USB-C, and USB-A ports. Both the regular USB-A and USB-C ports are 10 gigabits per second. This also has a 2.5 gigabit per second Ethernet port on it, which is perfect. The reason why that's really important to me is it means I can move files from and to my NAS as quickly as possible. I'm not being bottlenecked by a 1 gigabit per second port. It also has an SD card slot on the front, which works great with my camera and my audio interface. Plus, there's ports on the front for quickly charging a device or plugging in something like an external hard drive. In fact, one of the USB-C ports on the front goes up to 20 watts of charging. There are a few other ports like 3.5mm headphone jack ports and mics and stuff like that. I don't use those as much, but it's nice that they're there. The next item is hands down the most ridiculous on the list: the Nintedo Alarmo. Now, this is intended to be an alarm clock that sits on your nightstand. It has a motion sensor built into it, so it tracks when you're actually getting up and getting out of bed. And if you're staying in bed, the alarm gets more intense, but as you get up, it kind of gets a little bit more lighter and airier and fluffier. I use none of that. Because it's using motion sensors, it can't separate out more than one person. So it doesn't really work if you're have a partner or something like that. But how I've been using this is a big clock on my desk, and I love it for that. Because I work from the iPad, when I plug it into an external monitor, the clock on both the iPad's display and the external monitor is incredibly small. And I just like having a big clock sit on my desk. Plus, it displays the date, which is really helpful. Now, there are fun, whimsical animations that play throughout the day, and when you walk away or come in, you might see a character walk in or walk out. I really like the Zelda Breath of the Wild ones. Those are really good. There's also some Super Mario Odyssey ones. The other two are Ring Fit and Splatoon. Not sure why out of like the 4 animation categories there are, Ring Fit is the other one. And there is an option in settings to download more alarms. Right now it doesn't do anything, but to me that signals, hey, there's probably going to be more themes and alarms that come in the future. Ultimately, this is just a fun piece of Nintendo gear. I could absolutely get away with the same effect of having a big clock and date on my desk with a cheap $20 alarm clock from Amazon, but I like Nintendo stuff. It's fun. It's whimsical. Is it worth $100 that you're getting from Nintendo? Depends on how much you like Nintendo. This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN service that not only protects you, but your data. With Surfshark, your data is completely encrypted from the source, your computer, to its destination. This is so that your privacy is protected. Whether you're working off of a private wireless network like in a coffee shop or a private network in like a hotel, with Surfshark, your data is completely encrypted and your privacy is secure. Now, this isn't a, well, I have nothing to hide, so I have nothing to lose kind of thing. Data is the new gold. And just even with a little bit of information, some scary people can do some scary stuff. You could also use Surfshark to see any sort of price discrimination based on region, and then take advantage of another region's price. One thing I really appreciate about Surfshark is they don't keep logs. VPN services that keep logs, it's completely defeating the purpose. They shouldn't even be allowed to call themselves a VPN service. With Surfshark, you can also change your location. So if I'm traveling abroad, I can remote back into the United States and finish that show on Hulu, or vice versa. I can check out what's happening on UK Netflix as well. I really like Surfshark. In fact, it's a service I've been paying for myself for a few years now. So be sure to go to surfshark.com/lolly for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price and for a limited time offer. My thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. One of the newer devices for me on this list is the Kobo Clara Black and White. This is an e-ink ebook reader. I've been getting back into reading a lot more lately. While I love a good hardcover book, they aren't as light and as easy to travel with. The Kobo Clara Black and White is a 6-inch tablet. This uses an e-ink display, so it gets incredible battery life. It also works great outdoors and in direct sunlight because of this display. It's also incredibly light and really comfortable to hold. It's made from recycled plastic, so it's light and you don't notice the extra weight if you put it in a travel bag or something like that, making it the perfect traveling device. It has 16 gigabytes of internal storage. According to Kobo, this is about 12,000 books. My only wish is that it had physical page turn buttons. Now, this is about the same price as the basic Kindle at $129, but you don't have to pay extra to remove lock screen ads, unlike Kindles. The Kobo just shows the book you are currently reading on the lock screen when it's asleep. This works with the Kobo store, where you can purchase not just ebooks, but also audiobooks as well. But if you have a local library, you can use the OneDrive support to hook up to services like Libby. Overall, I'm thrilled with this device. I'm enjoying reading more, and using an ebook reader is a really convenient way to do it. I've been trying to get out of the house more. Everyone talks about wanting to work from home, and don't get me wrong, I love being able to work from home. It's great. But when you work and live at the same place, and the walls kind of start to close in on you. So I've been trying to get out of the house more, go to coffee shops or whatever. And I didn't want to take my really big Peak Design everyday backpack with me just to go to a coffee shop and write. So I got this guy. This is a Tomtoc everyday carry bag. It's just like a normal sling bag. I really like Tomtoc stuff. I've talked about a few different items from them here on this channel before, and they sit in this like really great middle ground for me. They're not a high-end expensive bag company. You're not spending $400 or $200 on something like this. But it's also not the cheap $20 Amazon bag that's going to fall apart after the third use. I believe this guy was $60, which to me kind of sat in a great sweet middle spot of like, yes, I will use this, but I'm not spending too much money on this. I could have spent a lot more on a sling bag like this. Now, this is perfect for me. It's designed to work with 13 to 14-inch laptops, so it works with the 13-inch iPad Pro perfectly. I'm able to put a bunch of other things that I could just need when I'm out around. Stuff like, external battery. This is a 12,000 milliamp hour battery, 100-watt USB-C, like multi-port USB-C and a USB-A charger, couple of USB-C cables, even an extra iPad mini. I use an iPad mini a lot as kind of like a second display when I'm working from my iPad Pro. So I have this iPad mini stand that I have two of them actually, one in this bag and one in my backpack. And I put the iPad mini on it while I'm working on my iPad Pro. And this kind of acts as a secondary display. It could be timelines, it could be notes, it could be all sorts of different things, task manager, whatever. It just kind of works as a second display. Then I also keep AirPods Pro here as well. I've talked in my everyday carry video. AirPods 4 with ANC are kind of my favorite headphones right now when I'm home. But if I'm going to a coffee shop or someplace outdoors, I want that extra kick of noise canceling that the AirPods Pro have. And I've been using these forever, so I've just been keeping these in my bag lately. The bag itself has 3 different sections. It has a small front compartment that is great for like quick access for cables or AirPods or wallet or something like that. This middle pocket is where you put your laptop, something like the iPad mini, batteries, whatever, chargers, things like that. And then it has a back pocket too. I don't really use this back pocket for anything, but it's kind of that pocket of like, hey, if you're traveling, this is where you put your passport because it's like right up next to you. On the bottom has a water bottle strap as well. Don't really use this as much because if I'm going someplace like a coffee shop or, Panera Bread or something like that, I'll just get something there. This is a really great, like, just the essentials work bag. This isn't something I'm going to take with me while I'm traveling, but if I'm just going out for the day or for a couple of hours, I don't want to take my big backpack. This is a perfect bag to carry with me. All right, next up, I want to talk about my new favorite USB-C cables. Yes, I am dead serious. Just about everything in my life is on USB-C now. These are the USB-C cables I am using for everything now. These support up to 240 watts of charging. They are braided cables, so they're really nice. Plus, they have a built-in tie to wrap them up. This one's not wrapped up that great because I was using it for something else. Now, most Apple devices won't charge up to 240 watts. But I have a couple other products I'm going to talk about in a second that do take advantage of the fast charging. But what I like about these is I never have to worry about like, oh, is this the right cable for charging or anything like that. This just takes care of everything, all my needs. Plus, they come in up to 10-foot lengths, which that's what this one is. In the bag that I just talked about, I just carry 6-foot ones because I don't want to just use up that extra space. But 10-foot ones are really nice across the house, when I'm in a hotel, and here in the studio because I set up a charging station right over there to charge all my devices, and 10-foot ones will reach all the way to this desk with no problem. Cables don't get pulled tight or anything like that. The issue with these is they are USB 2.0 transfer speeds, so you don't want to use these for a data connection. Ultimately, what I would love to do is get to the point where I could just replace all of my USB-C cables with Thunderbolt 5 cables or USB 4.0 cables. But those are really expensive right now. Plus, they don't come in like 10-foot lengths. So they're limited to kind of depending on where you're buying them from and how sketchy you want to go, either 3-foot or 6-foot. And that's just not enough for me. It's even hard to find USB 3.1 Gen 2 cables that support both fast charging and fast data transfers. You really have to either go the Thunderbolt 5 route or the USB 4 route in order to get that. So in the meantime, I have been using all of these cables for charging and some Thunderbolt 4 cables for all my data transfer stuff. That way, nice thing about Thunderbolt cables is they're labeled. So it's very clear like, hey, this is a Thunderbolt cable. Use this for data transfer. Use these for charging. But I really want to get to a point where I could just like standardize the cable I have and just have like a couple in my backpack, a couple in my go bag, a couple here in my studio, and a couple in my office. And, I know the cable I'm grabbing will either do fast charging and fast data. But in the meantime, these are handling all my charging needs, and I'm really happy with them. All right, so hands down, my favorite piece of tech this year is the Lenovo Legion Go. This is a Windows handheld gaming computer. That's right, my favorite piece of tech this year is a Windows computer. Who would have seen that coming? I can play quite a few Xbox games on here. Because this is a Windows gaming PC, this runs the Xbox app. I can open it up. I can play games that I bought from my library that support the Play Anywhere. I can play some Game Pass games that have PC versions. You can buy PC games right from the Xbox store. You can do all that. In some cases, it depends on the game, and this is where it gets a little weird. Some save sync. So, for example, I'm playing Starfield right now. I'm trying to go through the DLC. My saved sync between my Xbox Series X and the Legion Go. So I can just pick it up and I can play it on whichever one I want. But I'm also revisiting Skyrim. And Skyrim, for example, has the PC version on here, which the save does not sync back to the Xbox version. So it's kind of a little weird like that. Now, this does work with other Windows gaming stores like the Epic Store and, of course, Steam. So you don't have to just be limited to the Xbox stuff. If you have Steam games and stuff like that, you can play them on here as well. Now, there are some pros and cons to this. The screen is huge and looks amazing. It supports up to a 144 hertz refresh rate, but I actually go into the settings and turn it down to 60 hertz to save some power and battery. This is some of the best performance you will get out of any gaming handheld right now. There's tons of controls over power and cooling, and like I said, you can change the refresh rate, you can change the resolution, which will help with power and making the battery last longer, or you can crank it all up and, just eat through that battery if you want. It also has a built-in trackpad right on the controller right here, so you can control windows. There is a scroll wheel on the bottom right here, so you can get through all the Windows stuff. You have to use the Windows on-screen keyboard for a lot of stuff, which kind of sucks. And the ergonomics are not great. It can feel heavy, especially if you're like laying down. I notice that especially if I'm sitting up, it's a little more fine. But if I'm laying down, it can start to feel heavy. And whoever designed these controllers should never be allowed to design controllers again, because this arc right here kind of digs into your palm. I've just kind of gotten used to it. It's fine. It's not great. But I do hope if they ever do a Legion Go 2, they kind of come up with a better controller design. And the last thing is the built-in speakers for this thing kind of suck. It does have traditional line out, so you can plug in headphones. And of course, it's a Windows computer, so you can pair Bluetooth headphones with it as well. But something I absolutely love about it is it has two USB-C ports, and it's USB 4.0. So you can plug USB up top and USB at the bottom, and it has 40 gigabits per second connection. So if you want to plug in something like an external GPU and then plug in power, you could do that as well. Like, this thing is an absolute beast. You could do so much accessory-wise with it. But like I said, I've been playing Starfield's DLC. I've been going back and revisiting Skyrim, which is kind of just one of my all-time favorite games. I have Dishonored loaded up, Age of Empires. Like, there's all sorts of different games that you could play with it. I was playing the Mass Effect trilogy, the Legendary Edition, the remastered one that came out a couple of years ago. There's just so much you can do with this. Ultimately, you will get a better experience with like an Xbox Series X or a PS5, or especially like a PS5 Pro or something like that. But if portability is the thing that matters to you most right now, being able to play anywhere, something like the Legion Go is killer. I've mentioned a couple of sets of headphones already that I really enjoy this year. AirPods 4 with ANC, they're probably my favorite headphones to wear for a long period of time, especially when I'm at home. They're very comfortable. But these right here, the Nothing Buds A, have become like my favorite for all my non-Apple devices. Now, these are the company Nothings. They're low-end earbuds. But if you look at their spec page and compare their high-end ones to these, there's really not a ton of difference, except the price. These are a lot cheaper. These right here, the Nothing Buds A, they support features like noise canceling, transparency, and adaptive mode. They have really good battery life. I honestly rarely charge these up. They support up to 2 connections at once, custom EQ and bass modes, but most importantly, they're comfortable to wear. And they have the silicone tips just like AirPods Pro do, but they're comfortable to wear for a few hours, kind of like AirPods Pro, where I can wear them for a few hours, and then after a while, I need to take them out, let my ears rest a bit, and then put them back in. But on top of all of that, they look really good. So right here, I have the yellow ones, and these mix yellow with some transparent tech, and oh, do I love some transparent tech. Late 90s, early 2000s knew what was going on. Transparent plastic should be in everything. I use these when I am playing on my Legion Go and on the Peloton rowing machine, which is probably another one of my all-time favorite products of the year. I didn't put it on my list because it's not like a new product this year or anything like that, but it's new to me and I absolutely love it. It's actually like the first kind of workout that's actually stuck with me. I've tried treadmills, bikes, weights, none of that's worked for me. But these pair really well with the Peloton machines, so I can listen to the class, listen to the music. Works really well. Now, I've been doing some more short form stuff lately. I just ran a few tests and tried a few different kind of things out. And I kind of enjoyed doing this. It was really different from these long form videos where I'm sitting at a desk talking. I kind of enjoyed that. So I'm going to be doing some more of that stuff, especially in the new year and kind of coming later this year as well. But what I didn't want to do with the short form stuff is take away from the main videos of the channel. I didn't want to take away much time. So I am treating these as kind of this run and gun style. I'm shooting everything on my iPhone and I'm just shooting it as quickly as possible. I'm not setting up a ton of extra lights, not setting up a set or anything like that. I'm just, most of these short form videos are about how I work or apps I'm using. So it's literally just me in the moment. So I kind of got some gear to help out with that. The first thing is the iPhone 16 Pro added some killer video features with this release. One of them being 120 frames per second support. And what I use that for is filming high frame rate video. And then when I throw it into Final Cut, I slow it down to 24 frames per second. So it gives me this really smooth video. The issue is the iPhone's really light. And when you're filming in portrait mode, my hands are shaky. My hands are just naturally shaky. So like none of the footage was very smooth. So I got this cage here, and this is from Small Rig, and this is a MagSafe cage. So the iPhone just snaps right in. I don't have to screw anything in, and I can just hold onto the sides and I can just do a nice smooth shot. On the top of one of the Bluetooth handles, there is a record button. Now this connects to your iPhone and allows you to start recording just by a press of a button. Now this works not just with the built-in camera app, but third-party apps like Keynote as well. It also has a cold shoe mount, so I got this other device right here where I can put a hard drive in the mount, so that way I can record ProRes 120 frames per second footage right to that external drive. And then that way when I'm ready to edit, I don't have to try and airdrop something over or wait for something to sync. I could just take that hard drive, plug it into my iPad, and start editing away. I'm also using this Moment MagSafe tripod mount, and I love this thing. It's the same kind of setup as the cage where the iPhone just clips right in using MagSafe, and MagSafe is really strong. Your phone's not going anywhere. And what I love about MagSafe is because it's just one anchor point. If like the tilt of the camera is off, I'm using like the level tools built into the app, I can actually just tilt the iPhone. I don't have to worry about loosening something on the tripod. I can level it off just using like the tilt feature of, MagSafe essentially. And then the last item I got was this DJI wireless mic system. Now, for the most part, I will always use this shotgun mic right here that I am using for this video because I just like the way it sounds. But what's nice about this DJI wireless mic system is I'm not worrying about XLR cables, power to the audio interface, SD cards, or anything like that. I can literally take a mic, clip it to my shirt, take the receiver, plug it right into the iPhone, and just hit record. And it records right onto the footage, or I could just have it record right into the mic system. Now, for the most part, these wireless lav mic systems sound decent. But I do use an app called Hush on the Mac Mini that I've been using for Comfort Zone. I use it for that to kind of clean up and process the audio. It does a really good job of taking out background noises, and especially like if you have air conditioners or fans or something like that, or like an echo, it does a really good job of cutting that out. So that's it. That's my favorite tech of the year. I want to hear from you all. What is your favorite piece of tech this year? Let me know in the comments below. My thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, and have a great day.